The championship gets closer and closer to completion, and now we don't have to deal with wild horses in the Wild West or whatever the hell happened in the last 2 weeks. We're at a traditional rallycross circuit once again. We're at the Phoenix International Raceway here in Avondale, Arizona. We come in with a tie of the points lead between Matt Hartley and Magnus Okenhaug, and a few drivers are here to see if they can steal the show. And another question is, will our championship contenders crack under pressure? We'll see over the next hour as we're here for round number 9 of the 2020A Simracer Coin NASA Rallycross Challenge on the Automotive Sports Network, also brought to you by Simracer Coin, the cryptocurrency made by Simracers for Simracers. And for more information, simracercoin.org is your destination. We jump right into the point standings. Entering the Phoenix Grand Prix, and as you can see, at the top, Okenhaug and Hartley tied up top of the standings. Jake Robertson has returned after 2 weeks off. Well, really one after his mix-up 2 weeks ago. Ray Kingsbury, John Dipple, that's the top 5. Philip Kraus, Jacob Harberts, Josh Mertz, Matt Kingsbury, Daniel Aish. The top 10, a big development from last week. Philip Kraus did not win that race in Wild Horse. After the incident in the LCQ, he was sent 5 places back. So Jacob Harberts is a winner in the NASA Rallycross Challenge in 2020A. And that means Ford has 5 consecutive victories when we thought that the Subaru was stupid fast and ahead of everybody else. McDonald, Attard, Derbyshire, Gronquist, Moftaw through 15th. We're going to bring this back up here to take a look at our format for today's race. Of course, it hasn't changed. 4 heats, 6 laps, 1 joker, top 2 will transfer. We have the C main and the B main, the LCQ, consolation, whatever real term you want to use. 4 laps, 1 joker, winner will transfer. In the final 10 laps, 2 jokers, 10 cars in Phoenix. As we are finishing up in qualifying, we will take a look at our qualifying results. And Philip Kraus, determined to stand on top of the podium for real this time, as he will line up on pole position for heat number 1. Okenhaug, his teammate Merge, showing some pace as well, less than a 10th off for car number 2. And co-points leader Matt Hartley on pole position for heat number 4. As we finish up the practice session, we're going to jump right in to heat number 1 here in Phoenix. As we grid up for heat number 1 in Phoenix, Philip Kraus on pole position. As Travis Seymour jumps the start a little bit, Sindre Silva, Ray Kingsbury, Jacob Rafos, green flag in Phoenix. No control cars sandwiching the MRT cars. We go into turn number 1. Kraus leads us, Silva to the inside, tries to make something happen, can't get it done. Jokering on the first lap of the race, defending champion Kraus in car number 1. Ray Kingsbury follows him. The no control cars are in the back of the shot, and Kingsbury over in the 25, and he flips for the 2nd consecutive week in that Ford Fiesta. As Travis Seymour jumped the start, no penalty there. And it's the no control cars, the 2 Norwegians, Jacob Rafos and Sindre Silva, trying to catch defending champion Kraus as we end the first lap. As Philip Kraus already jokered in car number 1, Sindre Silva and Jacob Rafos did not. Rafos sets the record for the youngest driver in the history of NASA Rallycross at 13 years old. I'm not really sure if there's supposed to be a minimum age in the series, but it's good to see drivers of all ages. As one of the oldest drivers that is active at least, Matt Hartley, 47. We had Dan Ench in his mid-60s, I do believe, in the middle of the season. Ray Kingsbury off the track in car number 25. And Phil loves this, out and away from the rest of the field. Over the jump. Silva has not jokered yet, nor has Rafos. So both of the Norwegians and Silva over the jump into the wall. As I was about to say, both the Norwegians, I think, are catching him, but it is not to be. Cross flags in Phoenix for Philip Kraus. 5 seconds ahead of Jacob Rafos, Sindre Silva, and Seymour, the remaining running group, as Kingsbury still in the pit lane. And Philip Kraus, what could have been this season for a championship defense, after being taken out numerous times, having errors of his own. But we know Philip Kraus, when you make him angry, goes into his own zip code. Fastest in practice, fastest in qualifying, and out front here in heat number 1. 2 laps to go for the Canadian. As Rafos 5.5 back from car number 1. Silva a further 2 seconds back from his teammate. I'm wondering when they will joker. I don't believe they have, as it looks like our joker indicator is not working. Another day of the SDK overlay not working correctly. So we'll just pop that right off of there. So Rafos jokers into the wall multiple times in car number 13. And he's not going to get close. So we're going to take the white flag here in heat number 1. And Silva jokered as well. So it's pretty much going to be a formation finish unless something goes wrong. As Ray Kingsbury out of the pit lane in car number 25. And of course he's 2 laps down after rolling in the joker. Final time over the jump, and this is the hardest part of this track, to get the corner right, to not send yourself into the tires, and Philip Kraus has done it right for Subaru MRT. There's some rumors flying about the 4-time champion. Will he stay at MRT when his team owner retires? Will he join his Spark VR teammates? We'll have to see in the coming weeks. But for now, pole position to the defending champion here in Phoenix, and Jacob Rafos qualifies for the final as well. As we begin gridding for heat number 2 here in Phoenix, John Tipple, Chris Wetz. You have one of the Subarus, it's Marwan Moftah, multiple-time race winner in car number 191, Matt Kingsbury, and Magnus Okenhaug. Another 6-lap race, another 2 cars transfer, and we see one of the championship leaders in a heat race in Phoenix. Off the line, it looks like Moftah might have gotten a better start. Off the line, he's going to beat Okenhaug into turn 1. It's not really a turn, and Moftah gets the whole shot into turn 2. Okenhaug in second, Dipple battling Wetz for third. Exiting the corner, Kingsbury will get by Wetz. Let's see who jokers in the first opportunity. Moftah does. Okenhaug, Dipple, nobody else does. So the Egyptian trying to use this opportunity to get the clear track and get ahead of everyone else. So now it's an interesting thought. Will Dipple back up Wetz and Kingsbury to protect Okenhaug? Team orders are, of course, banned in the NASCAR RallyCross Challenge, but certainly you could do a little covert operation if you really want to. 3.3 seconds from Moftah to Okenhaug. And the Norwegian, who won 2 races at the beginning of the season, missed the final in Wild West, but still holds that co-points lead incredibly. Great drive for him, and Dipple, making me to be a liar, will not protect his teammate unless there's some strategy that I don't know about and I can't figure out, as Dipple and Kingsbury joker. Okenhaug's going to come out behind Matt Kingsbury in the 21, but he's within striking distance of Moftah, as the delta is right around 3 seconds. And Chris Wetz in the 71 for Revolution Racing, struggling in the Ford Fiesta. Let's see if Okenhaug will joker. He does. Let's take a look from high above and see if he will come out ahead of Moftah. Looks like he will, as the blue Subaru in the 191 in second spot, exiting the joker. Remember, they lengthened that wall to prevent nasty merges, and Okenhaug to the lead. So indirectly, Dipple did hold up Kingsbury, and Okenhaug loves it. 3 to go, cross flags. On board the 191, or sorry, the 26 of Magnus Okenhaug. The jump. The gap was 3.3 seconds on the first lap of the race. Now it's 0.8 in favor of Magnus to Marwin. The privateer having a rough season in the 191 after moderate success on the first couple seasons in iRacing. 2 to go for Okenhaug. Let's see what the gap is. It has stayed the same, still 0.8 of a second. So Marwin is in a good position to transfer. So Chris Wetz has parked the car in the 71. So the Revolution Racing Ford will not transfer through the heat race. He'll have to go to the consolation round. Gonna get 1 lap to go. Kingsbury has gotten by Dipple. They're battling for third, and they're battling like it's the end of the world, the end of the race, the first place race. It doesn't matter. Kingsbury puts Dipple onto the curb, and they make contact around the Englishman goes. And Kingsbury survives that and ended up with a Subaru on his hood. It's all good racing, though. Moftaw has closed the gap by a couple tenths of a second. It is now down to 5/10 of a second from 8 the last 2 laps. I think Magnus is just cruising. He needs these bonus points because if Hartley wins his heat race, they're tied up again. Through the final corner. And Magnus Okenhaug, tentatively 3-point lead and the red plate by himself in Phoenix as Moftaw transfers as well. So heat number 3, getting ready to go. Doug DeNice, Josh Mertz. I believe we'll have Jake Robertson in this heat as well. I could be horribly wrong on that one, though, as we await for everyone to grid up. We get Jacob Harberts in the 80. We await for the remaining cars on the grid. So we have Daniel McDonald in the 95, and on the outside pole for heat number 3, it's a Ford. It is Jake Robertson. Getting ready to go for heat number 3 here in Phoenix. Green flag. Harberts gets a much better start than car number 2, but car number 2 pulls on the top speed into turn 1. DeNice hits the wall in the 40 into turn number 2. Robertson on the inside. Mertz holds the lead. And it's very strange to say, but Jake Robertson is in second. Mertz takes the Joker on the first lap of the race. So we'll clear the 2 and see if he can hold the delta over the 22 of Robertson, but we know that Jake Robertson is stupid fast. We say it every week. And what's interesting is there's more Fords in this heat race than there are Subarus. End of lap 1. Mertz leads in car number 2. Ahead of Robertson, McDonald, DeNice, and Harberts. So now Robertson is 3.5 back from car number 2. He's holding the delta. The delta's about 3 seconds. We'll have to see what Robertson does. Over the jump, car number 2, and into the wall, and out of the lead, because the delta's gone. And once again in Phoenix, it happens again. This is not good for his final transfer hopes. We'll have to see in the consolation. So now, it looks more like a 2020 race as Robertson out and away from the rest of the field over Harberts by 1.5 seconds. McDonald and Mertz, 3rd and 4th, and DeNice in 5th. We'll see if Harberts jokers. He does in car number 80. Will he be placed ahead of Robertson? Coming around the corner in the 80. He will, but he won't have the delta to hold it, I don't think. It's only 7/10 of a second from him to Robertson. Cross flags for car number 80, our last week's winner. As we went right down the road to Wild Horse Pass. And what a race that was last week. Will Robertson joker? Yes, he will. So we'll take a look. Harbert's over the jump. An easy position swap for the 22 to the 80. As Doug Denice having issues over the jump in the 40. Car number 2 still struggling to get near the 95 of McDonald, but nowhere close to a transfer. And it's not the first time that that's happened. Every single race in Phoenix, because that jump is so difficult to get right. Robertson already to a 4-second lead over Harberts after he jokers. And the 22 certainly knows how to get that corner right. Remember, he's working on qualifying for the World Championship in the RallyCross series. One of the fastest guys on the service. Coming to the white flag for Robertson in Heat 3. Looks like McDonald jokers in the 95, so we'll take any hope of the two getting closer to a potential better spot in the consolation rounds. Final time over the jump for the 22 Robertson. And this season's going to be about what if. What if he didn't take the joker on the first lap in Daytona? What if he didn't have that issue registering for the session at Wild West? What if he didn't get mad at the strength of field race and raced last week? But he'll win his heat race. Impersonate Ken Block again. Was in reverse and still wins by a second over Harberts, McDonald, Mertz, and Denice to the LCQ. Our final heat race here in Phoenix. Our other points leader, Matt Hartley, Dylan Livingood in the 51, Brandon Lambert, Cohen Attard, and I believe Daniel H., if I'm not mistaken. So it will be a motorless motorsport heat race, along with Lambert and Livingood. So, getting ready, 6 laps. Final heat race here in Phoenix. Will the motorless cars do some team orders? We'll have to see. Green flag. Aish gets a better start than Hartley. Hartley side by side with Lambert. We're going into turn 1. Aish backs up Lambert. Contact between them. Hartley to the lead. Lambert gets turned by the other car of Attard. And it's almost like they were plotting against him. Of course, that's not the case. Jokering in the first lap of the race. The leaders will not know. Aish does at the final moment. So does Attard. Good strategy for these two as they leave Hartley by himself. Livingood in the 51 and Lambert in the 46, the former champions of the series, in 4th and 5th. Aish leads at the end of the first lap ahead of Attard and Hartley. So the 3 Australians in the NASA RallyCross Challenge. We'll see if Hartley jokers. Will he release himself from his teammates? He does not. Granted, he doesn't necessarily have to worry about the competition of Lambert and Livingood. We know both of them are down on pace, aside from the fact that Lambert got turned in the first lap of the race. It's mainly a dig at Mr. Washed Up Dylan Livingood. But Aish will still lead us at the end of the second lap. There's no strategy really happening between Hartley and his teammates. I think Hartley is just really going to cruise to this heat race win, because if we look at the interval, it's 2.1 seconds from Aish to Hartley. Hartley jokers. We'll take a look from high above at our points leader. Will he easily, absolutely easily, takes that lead? At the bottom of the shot there's Aish in the 33. I don't believe that Livingood or Lambert have jokered, but looking at the deltas, I don't think they'll get anywhere close to a transfer spot. So it's really down to which motorless car wants to join the team owner in the final through the heat race. As Aish and Attard both battling. As this race was really done and dusted in turn one, you'd have to say. As with 3 cars on the same team, we've seen this before. I don't think we've seen it since 2013. With Mertz and Erdmann, they were battling in the heat race. There was a little bit of team orders. That's the reason why team orders are officially banned in NASA RallyCross. Of course, you can do some covert operation over your team scanner. We look at the lap times, 37.4 last time for Asians, 37.7, 36.7 for Hartley, and a 37.5 for Attard. So these two definitely a little bit off pace just to guarantee the team owner can make it through to the final. Because it's interesting, as Hartley has made every single final this season, but he's been a little bit slower, meaning lower places in the final. Versus Magnus, missing the final 2 weeks ago. The Norwegian trying to hold on to this championship. White flag for Hartley. Take a look, Lambert has gotten by Livengood in the 51. So the former champion. Now in a Subaru once again. Struggling to get used to that car. And Matt Hartley not only has the red plate, of course, but he also has red rims. Maybe he'll have an entirely red car if he has the points lead next week. Points are tied up again. Hartley wins heat 4. As Aish will transfer through as well. We get ready for the C main here in Phoenix. This is going to be a very important race for one of these drivers to see if they can make it through. Car number 2 is the C main king this season. He's won like 4 of them. But of course, anything can happen. Sindre Silva, Travis Seymour, Josh Mertz, Ray Kingsbury, Doug DeNice. We're missing one car. I think it's Jacob Rafos in the 13, but we'll see in just a moment. As everyone gritting up, it's Daniel McDonald. 6 cars and 1 spot will transfer through here in Phoenix. Green flag, Silva gets a great jump off the line. Mertz in second, gets by Seymour into turn number 1. Around the outside, Silva v. Mertz. These two battled in Norway. Mertz runs it wide, nearly gets hit by Seymour as Kingsbury gets locked onto McDonald. Silva jokers on the first opportunity. This is crucial for the 63 to make it through. Kingsbury jokers in the 25. Doesn't flip it this time. Congratulations, Ray. You remembered not to hit a wall. Seymour in the 144 gets passed by McDonald in the 95. Nearly got loose. As a little bit of connection issue for McDonald in the 95 at the end of the first lap. Silva in the 63 leads us. We have 3 laps to go in the C main. 2 seconds back to Kingsbury. Mertz in the 2 ahead of McDonald in the 95. The gap is slipping for car number 2. 2.5, actually, about 5 seconds. Jokering on the second lap of the race is car number 2. This is the battle that him and Silva are having, but Silva is going to lead it, but he hits the wall. Through the joker, no contest. Sindre Silva is going to hold the transfer spot here in Phoenix. And the car that was pole position for heat number 3 is the outside looking in with 2 laps to go. So Silva, Mertz, Kingsbury, McDonald, Seymour, and DeNice. That's our running order for the C main. Silva does not repeat what he did in his heat race, and Mertz certainly wishes that he did. Jokering has McDonald in the 95 in the back of the shot there. We're going to take the white flag here in Phoenix in the C main. Remember, this is going to be 11th, down the order from 11th, all the odd positions. So we'll see who finishes where. Kingsbury and McDonald battling. So after a strong couple of endurance rounds, I don't think the Last Lap Motorsports driver will make it. Over the jump, Mert sends it, but it's not going to make up much time. And Sindre Silva will upset the paddock, and he will win the C main here in Phoenix. On the outside looking in, Mertz in 11th, 13th to McDonald, 15th to Kingsbury, 17th unofficially to Doug Denice, and Travis Seymour in 19th. We have another 6-car race. Cohen Attard, Chris Wetz, Brandon Lambert, John Dimple, Matt Kingsbury, Dylan Livingood for the B main. This will be 10th down the order for the even spots. 4 laps in Phoenix. Green flag. Lambert gets a great jump over Kingsbury, who bogs on the start into turn number 1. Lambert gets cut down by the 131 of Attard. Kingsbury to the inside, hits Dimple, pushes him out of the way, who hits Wetz. So very aggressive move for the 21. I don't know what's going to happen after the race for that call. Jokering is Lambert and Attard as Kingsbury has Livingood all over the back bumper of the Ford Fiesta. Livingood struggles over the jump in the 51. I think this is going to be the battle between Lambert and Attard, but we know the motorless motorsport car is stupid fast. As I say that, he hits the wall. Commentators cursed on that one. Lambert leads the end of the first lap. Kingsbury, Livingood, Wetz, our running order. It actually looked like Wetz has parked the car in the 71, so he will come home in last. So not a good day. Lambert over the jump and pushes himself off the track. And for the second consecutive week, I do believe, Lambert in a transfer spot and takes himself out. So Cohen Attard takes the lead with crossed flags in the B main. A lot of the old guard from the NASCAR 2003 days not having a good run. I literally only think the only one that'll transfer is Phil, as he won his heat race. It's no Mertz, no Livingood, no Lambert, no Wetz. Erdman has not appeared for quite some time. No Denice, of course, not making the final. So a lot of the new school drivers making it through. Kingsbury, jokers in the 21. Where will this put him in relation to Attard? Not close to passing him. White flag for the Australian. One second is the gap between Attard to Kingsbury, and we might not see a Kingsbury in the final today in Phoenix. Such a strange field so far. Gap is 0.6 of a second. Kingsbury, I think, is faster, but he's running out of time. Final couple of corners over the jump. Into the dirt for the final time. Kingsbury lost a little bit of time in the final couple of corners, and it's not going to work. Cohen Attard will win the B main, seed in 10th, as 12th will go to Kingsbury, 14th will go to Dipple, 16th to Livingood, 18th to Lambert, and 20th to Chris Wetz. As we begin gridding for the feature race. in Phoenix. Pole position, Philip Kraus, defending champion, car number 1. Magnus Okenhaug as Jake Robertson on the outside of row 1. Matt Hartley, Jacob Rafos, Marwan Moftah, Jacob Harberts, Daniel Aish, Sindre Silva, Cohen Attard. That is our 10-car field here in Phoenix. 10 laps. Anything can happen. And will the defending champion properly win on the road here in Phoenix? We'll have to see. Getting ready for the green flag in Phoenix. Kraus to turn 1, takes the lead. Robertson pushes Hartley into Rafos and into turn number 1. Hartley gets turned by Silva, so the championship leader around. We'll see who jokers on the first lap of the race, but we put our points leader to last as Kraus, Okenhaug, Robertson, Silva. It looks like most of the field jokers. Silva, Attard, Aish, as Rafos, Harberts, Moftah are the only 3 cars that do not joker, as there's a train of cars behind Philip Kraus as he leads at the end of the first lap. Magnus Okenhaug absolutely loves this because he is currently technically leading the points. Robertson to the inside of the 26, contact between them, and Okenhaug gets turned on the first corner, hit by one of the motorless cars, and he's on the wall. He gets off the wall though, and Hartley gets by car number 26. Strategy begins as Kraus, Silva, they do not take to the joker. Harberts and Rafos do. So does Moftah. I believe, as looks like Silva hits the wall there, or hits the tires, the curb rather, as Okenhaug jokers as well. Philip Kraus loves this, as he is pulling out to a 3-second lead already. The No Control RX cars, they only made one appearance. It was Sindre Silva in Norway. They make another appearance here in NASA RallyCross, and Moftah gets turned by Attard. It looks like that was an issue with just jokering at the last possible moment. So Moftah gets turned in the 191. So Robertson in 9th, Okenhaug in 10th, Hartley in 6th. As technically Robertson is still in this points battle. A decent ways back, but he could still get it done if he had a perfect race. Attard, Harberts, Silva, Hartley, Aish, Moftah, and Robertson battling. There's Okenhaug, and upside down is Jacob Rafos. We'll have to take a look after the race, but I'm getting word that he had a very nasty rejoin on the racetrack and made contact, I believe, with Matt Hartley. Moftah jokers in the 191 from the 6th position. Now battling Hartley in the 48. If there's anyone that loves this, it's still Philip Kraus, as he's much faster, by speed at least, from the rest of the field. But you'd also argue that he's the one car that has not been dealing with the bowling alley that is turn 1 here in Phoenix. There's so much bad luck for the Canadian this season, really prevented him from doing a good championship defense and getting that 5th title. Harberts in 2nd, Attard in 3rd, Silva 4th, Robertson, Hartley. Okenhaug looks like he jokered, Aish, Moftah, Rafos. That's the running order through halfway here in Phoenix. As remember, next week we seal it up in Sonoma. So be sure to join us in 1 week for that race. Robertson into the tires in the back of the shot there. So the 22 not having a good day either. As Harbert's 5 seconds behind Philip Kraus. So let's take a look at the delta over the last couple of laps between Harberts and Kraus. And it was about 6 seconds a couple laps ago. So Harbert's now still 5 seconds back. I do believe he has a joker left, but 5 seconds is still a massive delta to make up. So we'll have to see. As I say that, Harbert's into the tires and out of 2nd place. Comes out in front of Robertson. That was a little risky. As Silva jokers in the 63, so we put him to 2nd. But still 5.5 seconds behind Philip Kraus. 3 to go for the Canadian. The gap that he has, though, pretty insurmountable from Kraus to Silva. But with 3 laps to go, anything can happen, and we've seen it happen here in NASA. Silva has a tard all over the back bumper, that 63 car. We'd have to think what would happen if a tard didn't make contact with all those cars in the first couple laps, and with Moftop. What could have been, though? 2 to go for Kraus. 6 seconds from Kraus to Silva. Harberts has parked it, so he will finish unofficially in the 9th spot. It depends on how many laps down Rafos is. Rafos is back on track in car number 13. Moftop has been struggling in the 191. No fault of his own, but ping-ponged around all day long. White flag for Philip Kraus in car number 1. This is a performance of the Philip Kraus of old. Remember when he would battle his teammate consistently for victories. His teammate wouldn't have the greatest of races, but Phil would be out and away from the rest of the field, unchallenged, in his own zip code. This is the Philip Kraus of old. And I know I said it earlier, but what could have been? Final corner. And by 6.7 seconds, unofficially, he's going to keep it this time. Philip Kraus wins in Phoenix for the 24th win of his career, and MRT wins once again, but this time, like I said, they'll keep it. Silva and Attard will round out our podium. Robertson, Hartley, Okenhaug, Aish, Moftop, Rafos does get ahead of Harberts, who finishes in 10th. So unofficially, our results from Phoenix, as Philip Kraus does some burnouts in car number 1. Position number 1, pole position, led every lap. So it's a clean sweep of the Phoenix Grand Prix. Silva and Attard on the podium. Robertson and Hartley. Aish, Okenhaug, Moftop, Rafos, and Harberts. We'll take a look at the C main. Remember, this is 11th down the order through the odd spots. Mertz, McDonald, Kingsbury, Denice, and Seymour. And then the B main, as Kingsbury, Dipple, Livingood, Lambert, Wetz. That's the running order from 12th on down. We'll take a look at our point standings. Leaving Phoenix, 2 points. That's our gap from Hartley to Okenhaug. It's going to be a winner-take-all scenario in Sonoma in 1 week's time. Jake Robertson, technically still a part of the championship hunt, but it's very hard for him to potentially get anything out of it. He's got to have a perfect race and hope that everyone else has some issues. Philip Kraus in 4th, Kingsbury 5th, Dipple, Harberts, Mertz, Kingsbury, and Aish, the top 10. Attard, McDonald, Moftop, Derbyshire, and Gronquist through 15th. So it's all going to come down to this. We've got 1 week left. Go to Sonoma. 2 points is the gap, and anything can happen. Thank you for joining us here at Phoenix on the Automotive Sports Network. We'll see you 1 week from now in Sonoma. But until then, so long, everyone.